Keep it Citizen TV, and of course you'll be getting to hear the developments from the courts in regards to that important matter for the country. In the meantime, family of Stephen Munyakho, alias Stevo, a Kenyan man who was sentenced to death by the sword in Saudi Arabia, can now breathe a sigh of relief after the government secured a one-year postponement of his execution. Munyakho was working in Saudi Arabia when he was convicted in order to be punished by death after being involved in a fight with a colleague who later succumbed to injuries in April 2011. Ben Kirui reports on these and other stories making headlines.
A month from today, Stephen Munyakho, also known as Stevo, was scheduled to face execution by the sword in Saudi Arabia. However, thanks to the intervention of the Kenyan government, Stevo and his family have been granted a temporary reprieve as they race against time to raise 150 million Kenya shillings required to secure his pardon. Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary Korir Sing'oei announced on Thursday that negotiations between the Kenyan and Saudi governments, alongside the deceased man's widow, had led to the postponement of the execution, which was initially set for November 26th this year. The new execution date has been pushed back by a year to allow the families involved more time to settle outstanding obligations. Under Islamic law, Munyakho is required to pay 150 million Kenya shillings in diya or blood money to the victim's family in order to secure a pardon. He had been working in Saudi Arabia when, in April 2011, he was involved in a fight with a colleague who later succumbed to his injuries. Munyakho has spent the last 13 years imprisoned at Shimeisha prison in Mecca. In other news, 8 senior officials from the Bomet County government have been arrested by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission (EACC) over allegations of conflict of interest and embezzlement of public funds amounting to 1.2 billion shillings. The officials are accused of making fraudulent payments to companies owned by themselves, their relatives, and proxies. Additional accusations are abuse of office, conflict of interest, unexplained wealth, and the misappropriation of 373 million Kenya shillings in the procurement of 12 heavy road construction machines and trucks during the 2022-2023 financial year. The arrested officials were released after recording statements at various EACC and government offices. Meanwhile, in neighboring Nyamira County, Assembly Speaker Enoch Okero has been impeached on charges of gross misconduct and sabotaging Assembly motions.
Honorable Mose Apel Mokaya Mawawa Ward. The
impeachment motion was supported by 23 members of the County Assembly, while 11 MCAs abstained. Okero has since challenged his indefinite suspension in the High Court. Lastly, former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko has accused several officials within the current Nairobi County government of misleading Governor Johnson Sakaja regarding the ownership of land title deeds for affordable housing projects in Gara and Jivanji. Speaking from his Upper Hill office, Sonko refuted claims that he was in possession of 2 title deeds related to the housing projects. Sonko urged Governor Sakaja to launch an investigation into the matter, accusing some of his cabinet members of attempting to tarnish his reputation by falsely linking him to the title deeds. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.